All right. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you today. Before we get into our product presentation, I want to share with you that during this difficult times here at Magaya, product development haven't stopped working. So we continue developing solutions, continue delivering value, and this is because of you, our amazing customers. So thank you for allowing us to be there for you as a partner. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the AMS query. Tomorrow you will receive a recording of the webinar. Let us know any questions that you have through the chat. Right, I am with you today. My name is David Ortega. I am the product manager here at Magaya Corporation. And we also have the pleasure of having Radel Diaz with us today. Hi, Radel, how are you?
Good, David. How are you? And good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for joining us here today, this afternoon. Like David said, my name is Radel Diaz. I'm a licensed customs broker. I've been in the industry for 29 years, and I've worked for like about 4 different entities in the industry, and I'm currently a TSS customer.
All right. Amazing. Thank you, Radel.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be exploring our recently released AMS Query feature. We're going to cover what is it, why and how it's built, and how your operation can use the query. We're also going to have a product demo, of course, and hold a Q&A session at the end. So with further ado, let's dive into the AMS Query. So let's start talking about the import process. Here on this diagram, you don't see the AMS Query. And why is that, Radel, if you can explain?
Well, yeah, you don't see it, David, but it's all over the place. Each of these arrows you see is a transition point, and every time there's a transition point there, there's a query that needs to be had. That query allows us to be able to identify what information is available in the area. So it's primarily important to know that information prior to making any filings with U.S. Customs, being if it's an inbound, an ISF filing, an entry summary, or 214 into a free zone.
So yeah, basically the AMS query, it's what lets you proceed to the next step with confidence, right?
Correct. Without it, you're pretty much just filing entries blindly. You know, today everything needs to be in AMS, so it's a very helpful and powerful tool to have.
Yeah, that's why we built it. So, hey, Radel, would you be so kind and share with us your experience and user pain points, not only from the perspective of a custom broker, but also as a Magaya customer that files ISF and uses Magaya, right?
Yeah, most definitely. So, primarily one of the things that we need to have is visibility, and not having it, it's a big pain point. So today, that was one of the things that we saw that yeah, I can file ISF, AMS, and Magaya, but am I able to see what I did, right? You can see the messages that they went back through, but how does that translate into the AMS system? Having different systems to have to go through, cross over one another, right? So it brings me down to the point where, that's a negative impact on productivity. So if you're running 2 or 3 systems at the same time, you're obviously losing precious time there, which at the end, it's money.
Yeah. So one of the main pain points of these 2 modules that we currently have, AMS and ISF, is the lack of visibility, as you were saying, right? So because the first step, once you have the waybill number of a shipment that is coming into the US, is to check what information customs has for this shipment. So basically you want to know what was filed by the carrier. So how do you verify this information? Do you call the airline? Do you contact the carrier? We believe that the best way to do this is by querying AMS. And that's why we built the AMS query, to give you visibility, to give you confidence, and also to complement the AMS and ISF modules that we currently have. So the AMS query is a feature usually included on ABI systems, and ABI systems by nature are complex and entail a lot of functionality, which could have a negative impact on the user experience and the ease of use. Most query providers have the AMS query results as a PDF or an email, a very technical result, not human at all. With this in mind, we wanted to make the AMS query as simple and painless as possible and provide a unique user experience. a modern, efficient, and human user experience that is not common on ABI or custom systems. We built this product with the user in mind, and we hope we can help you boost productivity while at the same time you enjoy using the product. So, well, what do you think about our AMS Query? You've been using it for a few months now as an early adopter.
Yeah, David. I mean, it's definitely, you hit the nail on the head by creating a unique user experience. It definitely fits that purpose, right? It's an interactive where along with the many query systems that I've seen in the past, usually it's just a response back on a screen, a blank screen with just, the information on it, which you have to then navigate through trying to find what you need to look for. Or you're getting an email being sent to you, which there's delays. I mean, there's different ways the industry has come up with doing this, right? You guys will see that what Magaya has created here is definitely a unique user experience for everybody.
Yeah, and this is not only our job, also you as customers, and also you as a consultant, right? You help us a lot developing products. That's why we value any feedback. You completing a survey, us from product reaching out. We really appreciate your help.
Thank you.
So let's do a quick product demonstration. Let me show you how simple this query is. So this is a Magaya shipment. If you're currently a Magaya user, you know what this is. So we added a query here in your customs section of the shipment toolbar. Under query tools, you have the option to query AMS now. So we can click there, and this will show. This is the AMS query. So as you can see, we're bringing the issuer code, carrier issuer code from the Magaya shipment. We're also bringing the bill of lading. But in case you don't have this on your shipment for any reason, or you want to change this number, you want to query a different bill of lading, you even want to change the query type here to query an error bill, you can do it. So you can work with this at the same time you have Magaya open. So let's do a quick query and see the results.
David, just want to mention, like you said, it doesn't matter what bill of lading you have. Even if you don't have a Magaya shipment, you can enter any bill of lading number here.
Correct, any bill of lading. This doesn't have to be your bill of lading. We've gotten these questions. You can query any bill of lading, any error bill. So if it is in customs, it will return the information, all the information that customs has on AMS about this shipment. So here, as you can see, it returned the master bill information. We did our best to, let me maximize this. So we did our best to provide you header to guide you through the information that customs returns. Customs is complex enough. We're here to make it easier. And as you can see, you have inbound bill information, additional inbound bill information. On these collapsible items, you can see the message detail, which makes it really easy to find the specific information that you're looking for and get into the details without having to scroll to an endless PDF document. And yeah, here you can see all the history of this transaction through customs. Now, before Rodel gives us his experience with the AMS query, I'm going to show you this very neat feature that we included for bill of ladings, which is include related bill of ladings in results. This is a master bill of lading. When we click on this chat box and query, you will see what happens. So we get the master information, which is the same record that you saw before. Plus, we have the houses that were filed as well. And we collapse the information of these houses into this collapsible item, so you can go directly to the house that you need to verify.
And this is exactly what I was talking about, David. I mean, interactive, right? So that you're going directly to the source of what you're looking for. Sometimes if you have a consolidation, those of us in the industry, when you have, you can have 30, 40, 100 houses, you don't want to have to be scrolling through every, all the PDF or an email, right? Now you can go directly to that one and look at the information you need, cutting down time, speeding up productivity.
Yeah, that's the main goal here. So yeah, we did our best here to make this as human as possible. Also, we're going to be adding more functionality to this feature, to this interface. As you can see, it's a modern web interface. And yeah, and we welcome all feedback. So as soon as you start using it, feel free to reach out to product. If you're talking to support also, we really value feedback. So let's go back to the presentation. And now let's talk about how this fits into your business now that you've seen the product. So we know that you have different types of operation. You're different companies, so you're all different. Therefore, we're going to try to cover the 3 most common scenarios here. For example, if a customer is a freight forwarder, right, that files AMS and ISF, how can they use the query? Raul, so how can they benefit from this query?
Well, so freight forwarders, right? They're moving. Any freight forwarder that has import business into the United States, I don't see them how we would operate without having some type of query to be able to check AMS information. So products coming in, freights coming in, they need to be notifying, the customers or the customs broker. How do you do that? Via an arrival notice. Where do you get the information from? How do you know the information is accurate? From querying AMS. So definitely a must for those freight forwarders out there handling, or MBOCCs handling import business.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, this is a complement to our AMS and ISF module. We know that those of you that are using AMS or ISF, you like this visibility, and we want to give it to you. So what about the case where the company doesn't file AMS or ISF? Can they still use the query though?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter that you're not filing AMS or you're filing, ISF. You're still involved in the logistics process, right? So you're moving cargo, import business. So therefore, what will be more helpful than to know what somebody else has done, right? How are you going to be able to see that information? So that's what the AMS query does for you.
Yeah, that is correct. And right now, if you're not currently filing ISF or ISF, Magaya has the ISF on the AMS module. So you can rethink the services you're offering, because maybe your company has an opportunity here to offer ISF filing. And also with this new query, it's really then easy to troubleshoot issues with confidence, right? Because you know what's being reported to customs. So, and then we have the third scenario. Sir, you were gonna say something?
I was just going to say, based on the troubleshooting comment that you made, right? So sometimes you have ISF filings, and you have a broker, somebody else filed an ISF, and they say, hey, I did it. Guess what? Through the AMS query, you can actually validate whether they did it or not, because that's a flag that is shown in the response. There's an ISF flag that says either yes or a no. So you can check the work that others has done, right? So that's one way of being able to troubleshoot and correct the issue. You don't see it filed, you can go back to them and say, I don't see this filed yet. So they might have, made an error on the bill of lading number. Something's not clicking correct.
Correct. So then we have the third scenario where we have a company that already has a custom brokerage department. So they have an ABI software, and they can query AMS in that ABI software. How can this company benefit from the query?
Well, David, I actually fit in this scenario, right? And what I've seen is like using the AMS query from Magaya, since I have a lot of the data already in Magaya, right? There's no need for me to go through my ABI system. I'm very easily can query much faster in Magaya than having to go and basically go through like 5 different clicks of copy and pasting to get the information in my ABI system.
Yeah, that's the problem
also,
there, crossing over systems,
Yeah, and another way which it helps, even though there's an in-house brokerage department, is that sometimes you'll have a brokerage department and then separately you'll have an import department, right? So the import department doesn't necessarily have access to the ABI module. So that import department, which could be working, servicing the brokerage department, could also have access to the tool and be able to utilize it to their benefit.
Yeah. Definitely. If you have a custom brokerage department, doesn't matter. If part of your staff uses Magaya and has no access to an ABI software, then there is a great value here to boost your productivity and efficiency. Overall, the main value is the ease of use and that every department in your company can have visibility over AMS. So we want to provide here at Magaya as much value as we can. So we see Magaya as a single platform to support your operation. We already have an ISF and an AMS module. Now we also support AMS queries, and very soon, late May, early June, we're gonna also have inbound filing directly from Magaya. All right, so let's go into the questions. So we already have a few questions. All right, so we have a question here from Scott saying, does the query show holds or exams? Do you want to address that question, Rob?
Yes, it most definitely does. The query will show every single message that has been transmitted through AMS. Any customs holds, exams, I mean, you name it. Customs releases, obviously, ISF filings, any message that the line or a customs broker will transmit through will show on the queries.
Very good question, Scott. Thank you for that. So let us know if we answer your question. So then we have then Jen, right? And Jen is asking us, freight forwarder are allowed to file ISF, because he said that he saw that only licensed custom broker can file ISF.
No, actually, anybody can actually file ISF. There's no rule that says that only customs broker can do it. Now, customs entries, declarations, entry summaries, those can only be done by a customs broker or an importer who is called a sub-filer.
All right. Thank you, John. I hope we answer your question. And then we have another question here about how the service is going to be built, right? How much is the service? Right now, we have a free trial, a 10-day free trial. So contact your sales representative, please. So they will give you pricing information, and you can take advantage of this great offer that is the 10-day free trial.
There's another question, David, that we skipped from, it looks like Carnegie.
Oh, yeah, Carnegie, sorry. Yeah. So how will ISF work for import to Caribbean islands?
Okay, so any cargo that's becoming into the United States via ocean need to file an ISF. So now some cargoes that are in transit, there's two types of ISF. There's ISF 10+2, what they call, and there's ISF 5, so which has limited amount of information only that customs requires. So if the cargo is coming in transit to the Caribbean, but it's transiting to the United States, then an ISF needs to be filed.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Joel. So we have another question here. We're getting a lot of questions. I like this, from Alejandro. So do I need to be a customs broker to process 7512 coming up in June? That 7512 model that is coming up in June? Well,
that's a great question, and
yeah.
The answer is no. No, you do not. Based by customs rules and regulation, any interested party in the movement of the logistics of that shipment has the authority to be able to file a 7512. Now, how do you go about that? There's an application process that you need to go through with customs, where they will grant you a filer code and then provide you with entry numbers or inbound numbers so that they can keep track of who's doing what. But anybody can pretty much file a 7512.
Yeah, just one more thing to add there. Alejandro, we're also going to be giving you like a guide on how to apply for a filer code to get into this process of the 7512. So we're going to provide some guidance once we get there to help you with this process. All right, so we have another question here, and it is about the query itself. And it is, if we're going to support IT queries. And yes, as soon as we release the 7512, we're also going to release inbound queries on the AMS query, because right now we only support bill of ladings and network bills. All right. Any other question?
Oh, I was going to mention something, David, that
Sure.
in the event that they have a truck bill of lading, that ocean one will work the same because any truck bill of lading also has a 4-letter SCAT code and a number. So querying those will also give you back a response.
All right. Perfect. Very valuable information here. And we have another question. It is about, does the query only works in the US? This is a very good question. And actually, no, I mean, you're querying custom US custom systems, but you can query from anywhere, basically. So if you can query at origin, if you have a shipment that is coming from China or from Brazil, you can query from Brazil if you're doing all the import process as well, part of the import processing at origin.
Right. So it's every importation into the United States.
Correct. Right. Any other questions?
Somebody wants to see the demo.
So we have another question from Scott. Is the visibility or the query available to customers of our company? Scott, right now the query is only available for Magaya users at this moment. Right. Any other questions? Okay. I mean, we're always open to feedback and requests like this one from Scott, for example. Scott, if we analyze and we get that feedback, that level of feedback that you need your customers to use a query as well, it's something that we could provide. Okay, we have another question from Javier Salazar. So will you eventually offer customs entries? Here you're talking about, if you're talking about entry summary, yes, eventually we will. Right now, what we have in the roadmap is the inbound, but we want to get there. It's a lot of work, but we have that in mind.
I'm pushing for that, Javier.
So we have one more questions about Edel. So I have missed the translations. Okay, so Edel, you're asking about if this is just for US imports. Yeah, it's for shipments coming into the US. That's what gets reported to AMS. Am I correct, brother?
That's correct. Only imports into the United States are filed through AMS.
Okay, for those of you that missed the demo, I'm gonna go through the demo again. So it's a very short demo, so we shouldn't have any issues. So this is your Magaya shipment. Go to the custom section. Here we added the query here on the options query tools. And then you can click AMS Query. And we will get the bill of lading information and the issuer code from your Magaya shipment. And right here, you can change any information. You can even leave this window open and query as you work. And then we just click query. And this is the work we've done. All right, any other questions? Let's see. Okay.
For whoever had that question, I don't remember now, but there you see the different messages in the transaction information there. You can see when the bill of lading matched to the ISF, when the bill was on file with customs and AMS. Number 4, you see entered and released general exam. That is the actual customs clearance that took place. David, could you click on that quickly?
Sure. Here you can see the detail of the message.
Okay, can you scroll down a bit? Yeah. Okay, so here you see in the disposition there, you see the date and time, you see an action time, and then you see the disposition activity code, the 1C. The 1C is what, everybody at the terminology in the industry calls out the customs clearance, okay? There you see the message there, the narrative is entered and released general exam. Then in the other side of it, you see the quantity, okay? So that's the actual piece count that were cleared in that entry. So this particular message here could be used to identify, let's say that the customs broker filed an entry and they send you the cargo release, right? Which the cargo release is pretty much this same message, but a little bit more information. Here you're able to see what quantity of cartons or pieces they declare. So if the airline or the steamship line is not seeing a customs release, you can actually, with the query, you're able to see, okay, yeah, they did it this date and time. Oh, but look, guess what? They didn't match the correct piece count. Now you can go back to the broker and say, hey, you made a mistake, or you need to correct this. Okay? And then the last message here is the conveyance arrival. This is when the steamship line confirms that the vessel has arrived. So, I mean, all the messages will show here. This will be as long as it's needed, or as many messages have come through. Any cancellation also as well. If the broker cancels the entry, you will see the message here as well, the cancellation. I mean, every single message that goes through the system will be displayed here in the query.
So we have another question from Cara Robinson. And the question is, why is the master bill of lading reference when AMS is clear on the house level?
Okay, good question. On ocean, the information that's filed, that what counts in AMS is the master. The houses play a role as to identify different shipments, but really the clearance goes at the level of the master. So that's why you will always see the master as the header, okay? Because that's where the release information is sent to. How it happens is that if you have multiple houses, you have a consolidation, you the line transmitted originally, say 100 pieces, and you have 10 houses. Each house is 10 pieces. What the system will do is it will start to deduct the amount of pieces from the master. And eventually then it will reach the total quantity, and that's how the total shipment will be released.
Right. Perfect. So we have another question from Cara saying, when did it change from house bill of lading to master bill of lading? I think, Radel, that there's maybe a confusion here about the filing that the freight forward that the MVOCC does, and the one done at the AMS level by the carriers as well, right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure I quite understand the question, but I mean, this hasn't really changed. Now, there is a difference between ocean and air. In the air side, the clearances are to the level of the house they were built. On the ocean, it's to the level of the master. Now, if somebody filed a house bill of lading in AMS, that information will match to that master. But the clearances are at the level of the master.
Right. Hope that answers your question, Cara. Right. Okay. Any other questions? All right. So this has been a great pleasure, right, Adel, for us here to share our work with you. If you have any other question, please free to send us an email. Let me go back to the presentation. So you can send us an email at solutions@magaya.com. It's been a It's been amazing. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you all.